Pacifica Radio, I'm Christina Onnested. Donald Trump has been indicted by a Manhattan grand jury, making him the first former U.S. president to face criminal charges. The indictment yesterday stems from payments made during Trump's 2016 presidential campaign to silence claims of an extramarital affair with porn star Stormy Daniels. Media, including Reuters and CNN, report Trump faces more than 30 counts related to business fraud, citing anonymous sources. The indictment remains sealed. Trump is expected to turn himself in for arraignment next week on Tuesday. In a statement, he called the indictment a witch hunt and political persecution and election interference at the highest level in history. It could be the beginning of Trump's downfall from politics. The indictment comes amidst his presidential bid for the 2024 Republican nominee. But he faces more perilous legal threats, possibly including investigations of his role into attempts to undo the 2020 presidential election in Georgia and into his hoarding of hundreds of classified U.S. government documents. Democrats have hailed the indictment. California's Adam Schiff, who argued Donald Trump's impeachment, noted the indictment of a former president as unprecedented and said, but so too is the unlawful conduct in which Trump has been engaged. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer said in a statement, Trump is subject to the same laws as every American and will be able to avail himself to a legal system and a jury, not politics. Schumer urged against outside political interference in Trump's prosecution. Republicans, though, are calling it a political move. House Speaker, California Republican Kevin McCarthy, called it an injustice and said he'd hold the prosecutor, Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg, and his unprecedented abuse of power to account, McCarthy said. The federal government is the latest to sue railroad giant Southern Norfolk over its fiery train derailment last month that spewed tons of toxic chemicals in East Palestine, Ohio. The suit seeks to hold the company accountable for unlawfully polluting the nation's waterways and to ensure it pays the price tag of the full environmental cleanup costs. Nearly 24 lawsuits have been filed against the company by residents who say they were impacted. A judge will decide which ones to take the lead and likely make them a class action today. Hundreds of people rallied for stricter gun safety laws at the state capitol in Nashville, Tennessee, Thursday in the wake of a mass shooting at a school that killed 3 children and 3 adults. Protesters confronted Republican lawmakers to act and chanted gun control now. Some protesters silently filled the Senate chambers gallery, including children who held signs reading, "I'm 9, a reference to the age of the 3 children who were killed. Most protesters were removed from the gallery after some began yelling down at lawmakers, "Children are dead." Online videos show police also attacking youth blocking a doorway at the Capitol. Republicans are under increasing pressure to support an assault weapons ban, which is the gun of choice for mass shooters. Today is Trans Day of Visibility. President Joe Biden released a proclamation calling on Congress to pass the Equality Act and condemning states that have passed anti-trans legislation. Queer and trans youth across the country will participate in a March for Autonomy in nearly every state today. Ellie Prickett-Morgan has more.
Marches will take place across all 50 states, except for Wyoming, with each march being managed by local queer groups. White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre says that the president supports the protest.
We think it's important for Americans and people just across the country to make their voices heard, just as long as it's peaceful. And we've been very clear about these anti-LGBTQ bills that we're seeing in state legislatures across the country, in particular these anti-trans bills, as they attack trans kids, as they attack trans parents. It is shameful and it is unacceptable.
In addition to the planned action, Queer Youth Assemble has also published a list of demands sourced from hundreds of queer youth across the country. The demands include banning conversion therapy, funding trans health research, and codifying Title IX to include sexuality, gender identity, and gender expression. For information on where to find a march, visit the Queer Youth Assemble website. I'm Ellie Prickett-Morgan.
The Biden administration has condemned Russia's arrest of a Wall Street Journal reporter on espionage charges. It's the first time a U.S. correspondent has been detained on spying accusations in Russia since the Cold War. The newspaper denied the allegations and demanded his release. State Department Deputy Spokesman Vedant Patel urged other U.S. citizens in Russia to leave the country.
It is not safe for U.S. citizens to be in the Russian Federation. Any U.S. citizen residing or traveling in Russia should depart immediately, as stated in our latest travel advisory.
The Wall Street Journal said it vehemently denied the allegations. House Democrats have reintroduced legislation that would codify abortion rights in the U.S., Edwin Vieira reports.
This is the 7th time the Women's Health Protection Act has been brought before the House of Representatives. Since gaining a majority, House Republicans have approved a series of stringent anti-abortion bills. One such bill would require healthcare professionals to preserve the life of an infant in the rare case the baby is born alive during an attempted abortion. California Democrat Judy Chu said there can't be true equality in the U.S. without reproductive freedom for all.
No matter where you live, politicians would have more say about what happens to your body than you do.
I'm Edwin J. Vieira for Pacifica Network and Public News Service.
And this week, the Senate voted to repeal the decades-old congressional measure that greenlit the 2003 invasion of Iraq that was based on lies by the George W. Bush administration. It follows the 20th anniversary of the war. According to the Cost of War Project, upwards of 300,000 Iraqis died in that conflict. I'm Christina Onnested reporting for Pacifica Radio.